That's right.
That's right, he says. The no-fly zone is imposed because Gaddafi was bombing his own civilians. Tell me, sir, what evidence do you have that Gaddafi was bombing his own people?
Okay, through media.
Through the media. He's honest. He says the media. Now, most of you have internet. Most of you have mobile phones. And on your new mobile phones, you can go to your Google search engine. Let me tell you something, sir, to show you the propaganda that you bought into without thinking about it. If you want to talk about civilian bombings, civilian deaths, the right of the UN to intervene, the right for America, the ICC to investigate, tell me, sir, all right, let me tell you, sir, type into your Google search engine, type on your phone, civilian bombings in Fallujah 2004. And you will see the destruction. You will see the mayhem. You will see the murder. You will see the destruction of the buildings. You will see the bodies in the rubble. You will see the mangled, twisted, contorted faces of death. You will see the emergency services trying to save people. That was Fallujah, Iraq, 2004. Type into your Google search engine, civilian bombings in Lebanon, 2006, you will see the destruction, the rubble, the mayhem, the destruction, the death, the murder, the security service. Type into your search engine, civilian bombings in Gaza, 2008. You will see the bodies, the destruction, the rubble, the death, killing. And then type in your Google search engine, civilian bombings in Libya. You will find nothing. My friend, tell me this.
Kill everybody.
Tell me this. The BBC, Sky News, writers, all of them, they told you that Gaddafi was bombing civilians. Tell me, sir, what images have you seen of the destruction? If there were these killings in Benghazi, where were the funerals? Why wasn't the media showing you the funeral? Where was it? Tell me the name of one residential street that was bombed. Tell me the name. They never showed you these images because the media was selling you a war. They were selling you a lie. The ICC, within weeks, said they were investigating Gaddafi for crimes against humanity. Where was the ICC in Fallujah? Where was the ICC in Lebanon, 2006? Where was the ICC in Gaza? Where is the ICC when American drone missiles dropped bombs on Pakistanis and Afghan civilians? Every week we hear of an American drone dropping bombs on villages in Pakistan, in Afghanistan. Last week, they killed 34 in one attack. Where was the ICC? Where was the United Nations? It's a lie from start to finish. This is a war of imperialism. It is about expansion. Why are they?
Compete with India and China. They want to sell oil.
Why have they gone? Thank you for the advice. Why have they gone to Libya?
It's too high.
They have gone to Libya because Libya has the largest proven oil reserves in Africa. Now, sorry? It's the best oil, the sweetest, the lightest. It's easy to refine, it's cheaper to refine because it's lighter. It's easier logistically to get from Africa to the West. And because the West are concerned about oil supply in the Middle East, that is dangerous. Is that why they don't bomb Syria? Is that why we're not in Bahrain, in Saudi Arabia? How many people have died in Bahrain? How many people have died in Saudi Arabia? We don't even hear about it.
He's
little bits of news.
He's nerve gassing. He's nerve gassing Yemen.
Also, Barry, how many people died in Tripoli from rain?
Hold on. Son, no. Are you Libyan?
I am.
Fantastic. Now let me just state this. I do not support Colonel Gaddafi. I believe Gaddafi should have gone a long time ago. A long time ago. But there is a big danger here. What I am more concerned about is this. Is the fact that what you have is a Western imperial invasion, which is hijacking the people's will in Libya. And that is very, very dangerous.
Do you want the truth or not?
Please tell me.
Is Gaddafi or not Gaddafi? The Libyan oil will go to the west. You like it, or I like it, or we don't.
My friend, I thank you for that. He says, with Gaddafi or no Gaddafi, the oil will go to the west. My friend, there are fundamental differences in how the oil goes to the west. You're Libyan. In Libya, Libya's not a failing African state. But you failing why? Hold on, sir. You had the fastest growing GDP in Africa. Last year, 2010, the GDP of Libya was 10.6%, higher than anyone else in Africa. Tell me that. Who's higher than Libya? Hold on.
Who mentioned that? Let me take you to Libya and see what Gaddafi does to the country.
Sir, there is no dispute that people live in poverty. I'm not disputing this. I'm saying to you, Libya had the highest GDP in Africa last year, and it was set to match it again this year. Furthermore, as an African, let me show you in terms of why I look at Gaddafi. I'm not supporting him. Although I helped produce a book in the 80s in support of Gaddafi. It was a book called Beloved Revolution of Islam about Gaddafi and Omar Mokhtar, Gaddafi's idol. Now, my friend, in Libya, you have a welfare state. You have a welfare state. We don't have that in many other parts of Africa. You can arrive in Libya as an immigrant and have certain rights. We don't have that. Now that's not why we hate Gaddafi or why people might hate Gaddafi. I'm saying Gaddafi's been in power for too long. He's stolen and robbed the coffers of the Libyan people in many regards. Furthermore, if you go into the desert of Libya, you'll find thousands of graves from the opposition. Gaddafi suppresses the opposition. No dispute. But understand my argument, sir. You get rid of the mad dog, and the mad dog will be replaced by the great Satan.
American English!
You said sorry?
We will teach him a lesson.
You said who will respect the people?
Anyone who comes in after Gaddafi will be taught a lesson.
He says anyone who comes in after Gaddafi. Sir, how old are you? Your umbilical cord has just healed up. No insult to you. You're young, you're idealist, and I support the youth. Why? Because the youth, just like yourself, are the backbone of all change. No revolution will happen without the youth. The Iranian Revolution of 1979 was the youth. The Tunisian Revolution uprising, the youth. Iran, the youth. Egypt, the youth. I recognize it, sir. I understand it. But believe me, I have been and seen enough conflict to understand your naivety, your idealism. Look at Afghanistan with Ahmed Karzai.
Exactly.
You think the Afghan people have rights? Do you think the Afghan standard of living has risen? The Afghan people remain the same, only their country is being enslaved. They lose everything. Look at Iraq. How many people died in Iraq? Over 1 million people have died in Iraq. Do you want an Iraq in Libya?
That's the point.
Libya is a different situation. Well, let's look at Iraq. Let's look at Iraq. In the 1980s, Iraq had the highest standard of living throughout the Middle East. In Iraq, they had the highest level of middle classes than anywhere else in the Middle East. Iraq was exporting doctors to the rest of the Muslim Arabs. Iraq was exporting engineers from Iraq. My friends, Libya. My friends, he says, if we listen to Gaddafi, Gaddafi will tell you that Libya has the highest GDP in Africa. It's not Gaddafi who determines this. This is all conducted independently. So when you say this is Gaddafi statistics, my friend, recognize it. Sir, you can hate Gaddafi, but debate with logic. Remember, I have told you, I am not supporting Gaddafi. Gaddafi should have gone a long time ago.
Can I ask you one question?
Please do.
What is the conclusion you want to come up with?
What is the conclusion I want to have? My friend, I'm saying this. Where is Libya? Libya is in Africa. Well, although you might not like that.
Yeah, but what is the problem for that?
Hold on, there's no problem with that.
No, we call it.
Hold on.
You don't like that.
Tunisia
Yeah.
is in Africa.
It's North Africa.
Egypt is in Africa. We have, if there was to be intervention within Libya, that action should have been conducted by the legitimate body which governs African affairs. And that body is the African Union.
Yes.
However, the African Union opposed all intervention into Libya. So the Western allies said, okay, we won't listen to the African Union, we'll go to the Arab League.
Oh.
The Arab League, so they went to the Arab League. It's called all African nations are ruled by dictators. Yes. Hold on. He says because all African League, all of Africa is led by dictators.
So is the Arab League.
That's not accurate. Not all African countries are led by dictators, but it is a fair thing to say that the Arab League, so the African Union, is run by dictators. We look at Museveni of Uganda, who criticized America. He said if you come here, it will be an imperial invasion of Libya. That's what Museveni said. But Museveni of Uganda sent 1,700 soldiers to Somalia in support of U.S. action at AFRICOM. That's why last year Uganda was bombed during the World Cup by Al-Shabaab. Now you say Africa is run by dictators. Then what the fuck is the Arab League? They're all dictators in the Arab League. They're all dictators. In fact, they're all corrupt motherfuckers in the Arab League. That's a Mr. Goldwater. My friend, I ask you, what authorization does the Arab League have over Africa? Can the Arab League send peacekeepers? No. Can the Arab League send troops? No. But the African Union have got peacekeepers. They send peacekeepers to Sudan. They've got peacekeepers in the Congo. They send peacekeepers throughout the Kenya. So how is it now? Simply because they did not agree with the West that there should be intervention, that the African Union voice was sidelined. Instead, they got the African Union. Now remember, the no-fly zone wasn't the idea of the Arab League. The Arab League were counting money. One for you, one for me. They were interrupted during the counting. Excuse me, we need your vote. My friend, the idea of a no-fly zone was that of Europe and the West. They wanted a no-fly zone. And then when people began to be concerned about the no-fly zone, said, no, it's not right for Africa. Then they went to the Arab League and the treacherous Arab League. People who are fighting to sustain their own systems right now, where there are people uprisings right there in their own countries, voted to send troops into Libya. Voted to have a no-fly zone in Libya. And then, when the West had the Arab League's backing, the treacherous, hypocritical, maniacal West said, oh, it's not us. We don't want it. We're just supporting the Arabs. This is for them. This is humanitarian. Something must be done about this. Hold on, sir. Last week, my friend interviewed one of the leaders of the Libyan interim council. And he stormed off. This individual from the Libyan National Council said that 10,000 civilians had been killed. 10,000!
Ridiculous.
Let me say this from here. That's a fucking lie. That's a damn lie!
Massive number, isn't it?
Okay, I just came from Cyprus.
You came
When
from
you are free, let me take you to Tripoli and see the graveyard that I have in my friend's
graveyard!
house. 3 brothers have died in their own fucking house.
My
when they
friend!
were sleeping that night.
Wonderful, my friend! My friend!
It's a lie, and I can be in Libya.
Listen to me carefully. Listen to me carefully.
Probably just 400,000 people dying, and you say 4,000. How do you know that? Sir, and you know exactly what it is.
Sir, Libya, and how many people have died. Don't say something and justify the media.
No, you said 10,000 people lost their lives.
When Gaddafi
My friend,
proved that
I have been in enough conflict to know.
I haven't been in enough conflict.
I know you haven't, but I have. Hold on, sir.
For 1 month.
Sir,
I have been.
You are emotional.
No,
you are angry.
I've seen my two sides. You cannot tell me this is a lie. Yeah, I should be. My people have died. Oh, they should be. Sir, it's in my hand. You cannot come and tell me it's a lie.
No one is disputing that people have died. No one is disputing that people have died. People have been killed. Hold on. Excuse me. Hello. This is a message. Hold on, my friend. Hold on. This is a message for you Muslims, for you Arabs, and you black people. My friend, excuse me. When we Muslims, when we black people, when we non-white people speak, we all speak at the same time. we understand each other because it's cultural. But I'm saying there are white people here too. I'm saying in the interest of white people to participate, let's try and let one person speak at a time.
There's no white people here.
You first. Sir, you go first.
I told you what I have, okay? Don't listen to the media. Don't listen to the
I am not listening to the media.
Gaddafi, he will definitely say that no-fly zone is implemented by Europe and not to protect Libyans.
Sir!
If you have been to Benghazi before the no-fly zone, you would have...
I was due in Libya in November.
I was in Libya when this started.
My friend!
I came from Libya.
My friend! Sir!
More than someone who has been there.
Calm down with this stuff. No one is disputing that people have been killed. Civilians are undoubtedly being killed. If we go to Bahrain, we can see that scores of people have been killed. You are unfortunate enough to have lost friends, family, and you use this as a litmus test to suggest that thousands have been killed.
No,
I'm sir. Sir, so I have... Hold on, sir.
I've seen a person lying next to me being shot because he was on a goddamn protest, wanted his voice to get heard. He got shot right next to me.
So what are you saying?
He wanted to get his voice to get heard.
Calm down. So what are you saying? Hold on. So you're saying you saw a man killed. Hold on. You saw a man killed. You saw a man killed. You have family members who were killed. What does that imply?
Come to Libya and you will see what...
Sir, it implies that people are dying. People are dying. Now, as I said, not as a supporter of Gaddafi, but Gaddafi is trying to quell an uprising. People are going to die. This is inevitable. In fact, what we can say that is happening in Libya right now is there is a civil war. What we have is sorry? Okay, it's not a civil war. Hold on. Sir, I not a clear question.
I said, give me the conclusion. Do you want Gaddafi to say and take over the situation?
Sir, you conclude that it is not a civil war. What is it then when you have forces armed, when you have factions of the army deserting and joining the other side? What is it if it's not a civil war?
It's a person fighting his own people.
My whatever makes the Libyans, whatever makes the Libyans at you're young, you're passionate, you're idealistic. My friend, and let me tell you this, don't go. Don't go. Don't go, hold on. The reason being, you are young, and I'm saying to you, emotional and passionate. Stay behind and argue your case. Because without you here, as a Libyan, who's fighting for against Gaddafi, we don't have that representation. And all I'm here for is debate.
But you don't want to hear the representation.
I'm listening to you. You don't like what you are in jail. You say you are in jail. I was in jail in Israel. I was in jail in Sierra Leone. I've been in jail in Sudan. What are you saying to me? You think you've seen death? You think you've seen death like me? My friend, do you think you've seen death like me?
No, I haven't.
Do you think you really have seen death?
No, I haven't.
My friend, are you aware of the film Blood Diamonds?
Yes.
Are you aware that I was the original person that made the documentary Blood Diamonds? I traveled with the rebels. I was the first one in Sierra Leone. I knew all the players. All of the players in Sierra Leone. I made a documentary for the BBC in 2000 called Blood Diamonds, where I was framed, where I took the BBC to a tribunal about the way they represented the story. They came to me and asked me, can I get them into the zone? That's the wars that I know. I've been in Colombia. My friend, when you're talking to me, you're not talking to someone who's just standing up on a podium, who's just chatting nonsense. I live in Cuba 6 months every year. I've just returned back from Cuba 3 weeks ago. We are talking about revolution. I am an international revolutionist. I support the people, whether they be in Libya, whether they be in Tunisia, whether they be in Egypt. My friend, when there's war in Libya, I am a Libyan. I am a Tunisian. I am an Egyptian. I am a Yemeni. I am a Saudi. I am an Iraqi. I am an Afghan. The struggles now are international. And I'm saying to you, why I like your passion is because this passion is what young people have. This passion that brings change. Without people like you, there will be no change in Libya. I support you. I support you. But let there be maturity with this irrationality. That's all I'm asking, sir. So that when we look, because before you know it, you're fighting against Gaddafi today. But tomorrow you will have an uprising where you will be part of the system like the people of Iraq. Don't you forget, the people of Iraq, they were glad to see the back of Saddam Hussein. They were pleased to see the back of Saddam Hussein. But now thousands of them are dying every day to get rid of America, because now they're thinking, damn, Saddam Hussein was terrible, but at least my children could go to school. At least we didn't have to worry about terrorism, about being blown up by just going to the market. I'm saying to you, be careful what you wish for Libya.
Or should I wish for Gaddafi to be back in power?
You didn't say that. You didn't say that. Sir,
So what should I do? What should I
I'm saying to you, sir, Gaddafi, my friend, sir, I'm saying to you, keep up the uprising, keep up your resistance, but I'm saying to you, be careful who you jump into bed with, because if you jump into bed with America, you will be fucked. The National Transitional Council, half of them have been living in America.
No.
Half of them in America. Fuck you, man.
No, they're not You haven't even checked the website. They have even signed that none of them would be in government.
We have it. I know. They have a package. They have a package.
Listen to my argument. Listen to my argument first.
No. Here is argument. Here is argument. No, I'm not supporter of Gaddafi. That's why I'm saying my friend, sir, excuse me, what's your point? You said,
I am saying that the National Transitional Council is not acting for the ground troops, but with no fly zone, thousands and thousands will have been killed and
okay,
you did not know that because you had not seen that.
my friend,
The troops were on the edge
my friend,
of the main city.
they have a transitional council of 33 members, and after these 33 members, they say that they don't know. You say that they're not going to make up the government. They actually say they don't know who's going to make up the government yet. Now hold on. Okay. With the no-fly zone, please, with the no-fly zone, tell me this. The no-fly zone is to stop Gaddafi from killing civilians. All right?
Yeah, this is right.
When does that allow the NATO to bomb Gaddafi's forces whom are not attacking civilians? That is beyond the revolution 1970 and 73. It goes beyond it. I'm only arguing, sir, in the interest of logic and being honest and objective. We cannot allow Western forces to abstract the resolution, to fit what they want to do, because if we don't stand up to it now, where will it end, my friend? It's dangerous. We can't allow them to take a UN resolution which does not mandate the change of regime and then use it to fit their argument. It's nonsense. Look, if you go online, or up until weeks ago, Britain had an arms contract with Gaddafi. Italy was selling arms. If you go online, you will see photographs of Tony Blair and Gaddafi. Arm in arm. Gaddafi and Tony Blair sitting down. Gaddafi and Tony Blair sitting down in one of Gaddafi's tents smoking a hashish shisha.
Money.
Everyone knows that. You have photographs. There are photographs of Gaddafi and Berlusconi. There are photographs of Gaddafi and Obama. In fact, Gaddafi said in 2009 that we would be so pleased if Obama could remain president for life. that was Gaddafi in 2009. He said we the African people would be so pleased if Gaddafi could remain president of America for life. I bet he regrets those words now. My friend, we are arguing in the interest of being honest. You don't need to create lies and propaganda because there's enough evidence against Gaddafi. The desert of Libya are littered with graves from the opposition. Gaddafi has suppressed the Libyan opposition. So we don't need to lie and create nonsense. Why can't we be honest? Why can't we be honest about what's happening? If we don't stop now, my friend, this is not an invasion of Libya. This is not an invasion of Libya. This is an invasion of Africa. Why is it an invasion of Africa? My friend, because the West went to Iraq. The West went to Iraq. Because, let's look at it. Why did America go to Iraq? Because they hated Saddam?
Oil.
They went to Iraq because China and India are industrializing at a pace that no one ever recognized. OPEC, because of the oil. 10 years ago, 10 years ago, 10 years ago, the West said that oil is running out around the world. They said there's only enough known reserves to last the world 35 years. OPEC said, no, your figures are incorrect. There is enough to last the world 70 years. But no one bargained for China and India industrializing at the rate that it is industrializing. So the West wanted to secure all the non-reserves for themselves to save their own industries. That's why they went to Iraq. And now, because of the conflict in the Middle East, the oil supplies in the Middle East are dangerous. It's not guaranteed. You don't know if there's going to be an uprising. You don't know if the oil supply is going to be cut in the future. So they've gone to Africa because they said Africa has the largest untapped reserves in the world right now. Whether you go to Chad, whether you go to Nigeria, whether you go to Guinea, Sudan, and this man's from Sudan, he's from Darfur. In Equatorial Guinea last year, do you remember a few years ago? We heard about the coup in Equatorial Guinea, whereby a former British soldier, a British officer of the SAS, got together a band of mercenaries to try and overthrow President Obama of Equatorial Guinea. Why? Because Equatorial Guinea has oil. Then a few years ago, many of you heard about genocide in Darfur, and they put it on the agenda. Genocide, genocide, genocide. Why were the West talking about genocide in Darfur? Because it wasn't about the people. They don't care about the Sudanese people. What they were concerned about was the oil supplies in Darfur, which is many, is controlled by the Chinese. So it was about, so they created this notion of genocide, so they could intervene, so they could displace China. So we're going to see many more conflicts happening throughout Africa. In fact, this week, in the Ivory Coast, yesterday in the Ivory Coast, they claimed 800 to 1,000 people were killed in the Ivory Coast. Where is it? Where is the no-fly zone? Where is the protection for the people of Ivory Coast? Hold on, my friend. In the Congo, the Congo has had the most brutal war in the history of Africa. Over the last 10 years in the Congo, 5 million people have been killed in the Congo. Are you hearing me? 5 million people have lost their lives in the Congo. Where's the no-fly zone? Where's the ICC? Where's that damn bitch, Hillary Clinton? Where the fuck are they? Where's David Cameron? Where the fuck are these Western motherfuckers? Let's get real about what's happening here. This war in Libya, it is an imperialistic war, a war of invasion, a war of colonization. And funny how, I say serve Gaddafi right. Why does it serve Gaddafi right?
Just to the West.
Gaddafi joined the West.
He did, exactly.
In his so-called war against terror. Gaddafi thought he was part of the club. Around Europe. Sorry? His medals on his chest. I remember he went to meet Berlusconi, and he had a picture of Omar Mokhtar.
Oh yeah.
That was Gaddafi. But let me show you when Gaddafi was rehabilitated. Because Gaddafi isn't even shrewd enough. As a political analyst, he should have had his analysts analyzing why he was brought back into the fold. I turned against Gaddafi when Gaddafi gave up Abdel Basset al-Megrahi. Abdel Basset al-Megrahi was innocent, wasn't responsible for the Lockerbie bombing. Gaddafi turned his back on Abdel Basset al-Megrahi, gave him up. They paid $10 million compensation to every victim of Lockerbie. 270 victims of Lockerbie. They paid $10 million each. Why? Because Gaddafi knew he was sitting on billions upon billions of dollars worth of oil. So he would make it back. It was business. It was business. But let's look at when Gaddafi was rehabilitated. Gaddafi was rehabilitated at a time when the Americans had gone to Iraq. They claimed that there was weapons of mass destruction. Weapons of mass destruction. And the world believed them. Then they conducted an investigation which lasted 2 years. They spent $5 billion trying to find weapons of mass destruction that didn't exist. And they knew that they were about to tell the world that we found nothing. So what do? They then tell us in a very week that Gaddafi has given up his claim for weapons of mass destruction. And they show you these old centrifuges dating from about 1861, rusty old fucking tubes. And they said these were Gaddafi's claim to weapons of mass destruction. Gaddafi has given it up. Oh, and by the way, we found nothing in Iraq. So they said, we found nothing in Iraq, but the policy of disarmament is working. So Gaddafi was used by the West. Used by the West. And Gaddafi thought he had arrived. Now, let's look at the corruption of British politics. We know that Abdel Basset al-Megrahi was innocent. It's not just me as a political analyst and pundit saying this. Nelson Mandela believed that Abdel Basset al-Megrahi was innocent. The person who constructed the trials that brought Abdel Basset al-Megrahi to trial in Holland was Professor Black from the University of Edinburgh. Professor Black believed that Abdel Basset al-Megrahi did not receive a fair trial. And Abdel Basset al-Megrahi had a new appeal being heard. It was known, or it was highly suggested, that he was going to be acquitted because they knew there was not enough evidence. That's why they had to get Abdel Basset al-Megrahi out of jail quickly, and then they dropped the appeal, and there's no right to investigate an appeal once it's been pardoned. Why did they get rid of Abdel Basset al-Megrahi? Because Libya had signed an exclusive oil contract with British Petroleum giving British Petroleum the right to mine oil in Libya. And then the British government stood on TV, barefaced, and said, oh, we released Abdul Basit al-Megrahi on compassionate grounds. A man who was wanted, a man who was wanted for the supposedly worst mass killing in British history is given compassionate leave on humanitarian grounds. And the government sold to the people and you, the public, bought it. They said, it's wrong to keep him in jail. Look, he's dying. They said Abdul Basit al-Megrahi only had a matter of weeks, if not months, to live. They were concerned that Abdul Basit al-Megrahi wouldn't survive getting on a plane to get back to Libya. That's what they told you about Abdul Basit al-Megrahi. They said Abdul Basit al-Megrahi is sick, he's dying, he only has a matter of weeks to live, so let's send him home. A year and a half later, Abdul Basit al-Megrahi is still alive. He's now playing professional tennis and taking up capoeira. He's turning cartwheels and breakdancing. That is Abdul Basit al-Megrahi, the man who they said was on the doorstep of death. And that just shows you the hypocrisy, the lies of this government, this British government, that uses mechanisms, that plays the game of politics. Biggest liars! Biggest empire! Yes, sir. Are you Libyan? Palestinian.
So I agree with you, the West has
yes. He says he believes me that the West has special interest in Libya.
Okay. Do you agree with me that Gaddafi is a dictator?
Do I agree with him that Gaddafi is a dictator?
Yes,
Gaddafi is a dictator. Gaddafi sees power in 1969. And I don't want the West to get involved in it. No, I don't.
Okay, fine. And you want the civilian uprising to continue?
Do I want the civilian uprising to continue? My friend, okay, I'm just repeating to the people in the back end.
And looking at the military equation of Libya, the civilians are not armed.
Civilians are not armed.
His own armed forces, his own mercenaries, and as he claimed in his I will launch the war from the center to the all the African. So, that the involvement of the West, who are cowards, we know them. What's going to happen?
He says, if I want the uprising to continue without the involvement of the West, he says the civilians, the people, do not have the arms to fight Gaddafi, therefore they will be crushed. My friend, why then should we alter the dynamics of reality in Libya, but not alter the dynamics in Bahrain, but not alter the dynamics in Saudi Arabia? Okay, if the West are going to arm the uprising and the people of Libya, then likewise, so should the people of Saudi Arabia be armed. So should the people of Bahrain be armed. So should the people of Yemen be armed. So should the people of Jordan be armed. Because they don't like their leaders either. Now, look at one of those nations that have been so vociferous in their outspoken criticism of Gaddafi. Qatar. Qatar has said, we've joined in this uprising. Sheikh Hamad bin Khalifa. Isn't he not a dictator? He's a dictator. Likewise.
Stupidness.
My friend, we have uprisings. The people want freedom. The people of the Middle East want some form of democracy. They want reform. Reform. The situation in the Arab world and the Middle East and Africa, North Africa, has become very, very complicated. Complicated. But we can't even really discuss it here with any real depth. Because we're not just talking about should we arm the civilians of Libya. Let's look on a deeper level. We have in Bahrain, we have a Sunni minority government, a royal family, in Bahrain, whereby you have 80% of the people are Shia. The Shia majority in Bahrain want to rule. Yet Saudi Arabia, because it is a Sunni nation too, send armed forces over to support the royal family of Bahrain. Then the Saudis and the Bahrainis are paranoid and they believe, well, Iran is possibly trying to influence and support the Shias. So then what do? The Bahrainis and the Saudis then support the uprising in Syria, where you have a Sunni majority in Syria run by a Shia minority. So we're in a deeper situation, my friend. Do you understand why we can't just simply talk about the West arming troops? My friend, we are on the cusp of losing faith and confidence in their government, in Western governments too.
Smashing the unions in America.
Western governments too. Sir, I'm saying to you, if Gaddafi's forces seized control and power and took back control of Libya, so be it. The people of Libya will then have to be more creative as to how they launch an uprising. Revolutions, my friend, you say they don't have the arms, they don't have this, or they don't have that. The students of Iran, 1979, they were unarmed. The people of Tunisia were unarmed.
Exactly. Yeah.
The people of Egypt were unarmed. When Fidel Castro went to Cuba to liberate the people of Cuba from Batista, he arrived with 82 people. The majority were killed, only 12 survived. They fled into the Sierra Maestra. My friend, sir, revolution is not about guns. Revolution is about the mind. And that is what makes you successful. In Vietnam, we had 4'6" rice peasants fighting against the biggest war machine in the history of mankind, the Americans. The Vietnamese, what did they use? They used bungee traps, bamboo spiked with shit to kill Americans. They dug tunnels and they lived underground. They infiltrated U.S. bases and were committed acts of sabotage. They wore the Americans down. Just Ho Chi Minh. Ho Chi Minh's forces, when he defeated the French in Dien Bien Phu in Vietnam, recognize it, sir. I study revolution. I understand the desires of the people. My friend, you don't need arms for revolution. You need the will, and arms will come. When I was in Sierra Leone, I was with Brigadier Maurice Colon. Brigadier Maurice Colon was second in command of the RUF, Revolutionary United Front. And Maurice Colon would tell me how they managed to launch the uprising in Sierra Leone. How did the war start? Likewise, in Cuba, there was 12 of them. Him, Forrest Sanko, and a few others. What did they do? They raided, they had a shotgun and a rifle. They raided a military barracks. They seized some weapons. They armed more people. They were only attacking barracks. This is what revolution is, my friend. Let's not be distant about it. Let's understand it. Right now, we believe that we don't have the tools for revolution. We have the tools of revolution right here at our fingertips. If you have the internet, my friend, you have an AK-47. If you have Google, you have a PhD. And if you have Facebook, you have fucking ammunition for your bullets. It is about how resourceful, how creative you use the mechanism of revolution to bring about change. It's all it is. All it is. The students of Iran, 1979, students, the children of the middle classes, created revolution. They got rid of the Shah, Reza Khan Pahlavi, a man who was backed by the West. In Iran, 1951, we had the first democratically elected leader of the Middle East, under Mohammed Mossadegh. In 1953, Mossadegh was overthrown by who? The CIA and the British. Why? Because Mossadegh said the oil wealth of Iran should benefit the Iranian people. Patrice Lumumba, 1961, democratically elected by the people of Africa. The first democratically elected leader of the Congo. Overthrown by whom? The CIA. In Chile, Salvador Allende, 1973, democratically elected by the people of Chile, for the people of Chile. Overthrown by whom? The CIA. When? On September the 11th, 1973. My friend, look at it. We are fighting against injustice. But the people here, you in the West, and when I say you in the West, I don't mean white people in the West. I mean we in the West. Whether you are Arab, African, Asian, Indian, or white. We live in the West. We live quite comfortably here. Look at us. We can stand here. No one's worried that a sniper's gonna shoot. Someone's gonna bomb. We walk down Edgware Road, which is Little Lebanon. You can go to Queensway, Little Saudi Arabia, Southall, Little India, Brixton, Little Jamaica, Seven Sisters, Little Nigeria. We live comfortably here. And so, when we talk about revolution, we think, how is it going to impact on my life here? We're not living in Libya. We're not the people living under the yoke of the suffering of Gaddafi. We're not living under the suffering of formerly Mubarak, or Ben Ali, or Sheikh Ahmed bin Khalifa, or the House of Al Saud, or the Sabah family of Kuwait. We live here. We live here. So I'm saying, let's not be armchair revolutionaries. Let us support revolution. But more importantly, this is a struggle for justice. Nothing more, nor nothing less. It is about justice. Will you ask me about Libya? Libya, let it be what it be. What I would like to see is I would like to see the international institutions of the world begin to take their place and begin to resolve problems and conflicts as they are supposed to do. Years ago, and the last real Secretary General of the United Nations was Boutros Ghali. After that, we had that damn chicken bone rich Dr. Kofi Annan. What the hell did he do? He was a Korean diplomat. Now we've got fucking Ban Ki-moon, who's nothing but a colonial office administrator for the Americans. My friend, when we have this action in Libya, it should not be the Americans or NATO who go and bomb or intervene. It should be the United Nations which sets up a council to send in peacekeepers and sending international observers to monitor peace. My friend, at the moment they say Gaddafi is killing his own civilians. How can you monitor whether Gaddafi is killing civilians if you don't have international observers on the ground? Where are they? This is what we should be asking for. But instead, the world's international institutions have become corrupted because they were started by America, for America, head office in America. The United Nations, the Charter for the United Nations was drafted in San Francisco. Head office where? In New York, America. The IMF, international motherfuckers, started by America, for America, head office in America. The World Bank, started by America, for America, head office in America. The world's political and economic institutions have become corrupted. Corrupted. So now they no longer represent the world. So we don't have the mechanisms in place to arbitrate peace. Gaddafi, we have an uprising in Libya, we have an uprising in Bahrain, an uprising in Syria, an uprising in Yemen, an uprising in Saudi Arabia. When the uprising starts in Libya, within weeks the ICC come out and say they're launching an investigation into crimes against humanity by Gaddafi. Where was the ICC when America was butchering people in Fallujah? When they bombed and destroyed an entire city of 250,000 people in Fallujah? Where was the ICC in Lebanon 2006? Where was the ICC in Gaza 2008? Where was the ICC in Pakistan and Afghanistan when the Americans dropped missiles from drones killing civilians in Pakistan and Afghanistan? The Americans and the West, they can use the international mechanisms now to validate someone's leadership. And if we look at the ICC, the International Criminal Court in The Hague, by charging or by investigating Gaddafi, it doesn't do anything outside of its remit, because to date, to this very date, the ICC has only ever investigated or prosecuted Africans. Are you hearing me? Only Africans have ever been prosecuted in the ICC. To the point that a couple of years ago, 18 months ago, several African nations said that they want to boycott the ICC because it's only tried Africans. Where's George Bush, that butcher? George Bush was a murderer, and his clique, Dick Cheney, Paul Wolfowitz, Donald Rumsfeld, Richard Pearl. Where are these motherfuckers? These motherfuckers are playing golf. These motherfuckers are on the lecture circuit at Harvard University giving talks for $500,000 a fucking minute. That's where they are. Why, if we had an equitable system of justice, these motherfuckers would be on trial. Justice is not black or white. Justice is justice. But what we see is it's unfair. It's corrupt. We have intervention in countries of Africa and the Middle East where they just happen to have oil. Where was America when Liberia was going through its civil war? When the Americans, when the Liberians were saying, please come and save us. Where were they? So we have the Americans successfully passed resolution 1973 that gives them the right to impose a no-fly zone, which really means no regime change. That was all they needed was a legal mandate to intervene. Why? In the old days,